Hi class, my name is Whitney Sarek. For this project, I chose the topic gender-based violence. We're going to talk about the social injustices and how it affects millions of people every day, especially women. Gender-based violence includes physical, sexual, and emotional abuse, and it violates the basic human rights. This type of violence has long-lasting effects on the health and well-being of those who experience it. Even though there's been progress in raising awareness, gender-based violence is still a major problem that needs urgent attention. Throughout this presentation, we will talk about gender-based violence, its origins, components, and what we can do to fix it. Gender-based violence has been rooted into our history. Oftentimes, growing up, you might have heard men, uncles, grandfathers use phrases like, she can't do it, she's a woman, or she's just a woman. In the Middle Ages, laws kept women in lesser roles. For instance, marital discipline allowed husbands to hit their wives, and many did so violently. The 19th and the early 20th centuries saw the women's suffrage movements and challenges these old norms. However, violence against women still persisted. Domestic violence and sexual assault were often ignored by law enforcement. In the 1960s and 1970s, feminist movements highlighted gender-based violence. This helped lead to shelters for women to escape these abusive relationships and help them with important legal challenges, such as custody of children, divorce, and things like that. Many times people stayed in abusive relationships because they didn't have any other resources. Later, throughout this PowerPoint, we're going to talk about the Me Too movement, which created a voice for so many women to come out with the hashtag Me Too and talk about their abuse. Gender-based violence can stem from cultural beliefs, unequal power, and systematic inequalities. The impact is severe, which can cause lasting physical, mental, and emotional harm. Despite progress and awareness, gender-based violence still needs urgent attention. About 30% of women worldwide have experienced physical or sexual violence throughout their lifetime. This often comes from someone close, like their intimate partner. The CDC reports that 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men will face physical violence from their intimate partners. Additionally, around 45 million children will witness violence in childhood. These numbers represent real people and real pain, including my own. In this presentation, I will share with you a personal story about when I was a victim in an abusive relationship, which kept me down for so long until finally I found my way out of that through education, through support, and through building financial independence. Gender-based violence is complex. It includes physical, sexual, emotional, economic, and cultural or structural violence. Physical violence, like hidden, is easy to see. It can cause serious injuries and sometimes even death. Sexual violence involves non-consensual acts, leading to emotional trauma and lasting psychological effects, and sometimes unwanted pregnancies. Many times abusers might use a woman's body to trap her with having given her children and things like that. Emotional violence, such as verbal abuse, damages self-esteem and mental health, which can cause harm for a whole lifetime. Many times men who've been in abusive relationships say the hardest part is after it's all over and they see what happened from a different light and they feel so much shame. Why did I stay for so long? Economic violence controls access to resources, trapping individuals in abusive relationships, having no money to leave. Maybe they have shame to tell family that they're being abused, so they stay within the hopes of changing. And maybe they're very comfortable because they have a family there with that person and they think, okay, maybe this person will change. But most of the time, these people do not change. Cultural violence refers to the societal norms that prolong gender inequality, making it harder for victims to seek help or recognize abuse. Together, these forms of violence create a tough environment to escape. The public's view of gender-based violence is shaped by various platforms. Media representation, like news outlets, films, and social media, plays a significant role. Some media can raise awareness, but harmful myths and victim blaming often take center stage. We often hear people speak about abusive relationships, and other people might say things to them like, you like abuse, because why are you staying? Political discourse also matters. The language used by politicians can influence public attitudes and drive change through laws and funding. Supportive language advocates for victims, while dismissive rhetoric can slow its progress. Public campaigns and NGOs use strong language, use survivor stories, and powerful imagery to highlight gender-based violence's seriousness. Their goal is to raise awareness, to help spread education, and inspire action for lasting changes. By talking about it publicly and bringing into light how not normal gender-based violence is, we can create a society that looks down on this type of violence and hopefully one day puts an end to it once and for all. But why did you stay is often a question that gets asked to many victims in an abusive relationship. I stayed in an abusive relationship for a long time. Friends and family often asked, why do you stay, or do you like this abuse? These questions, though well-meaning, hurt me. Leaving wasn't simple. I felt shame from the fear that trapped me. Many factors kept me there, but fear was my biggest. Financial dependency, emotional manipulation, and isolation fueled it. I relied on my partner for financial support. The thought of not providing for myself or my child terrified me. Abusers use tactics like gaslighting to make victims doubt their reality. The cycle of abuse creates false hope that things will improve. I loved my partner and hoped for change. I had built a life, started a family, and bought a house. I tried to change, and I thought maybe that could stop the abuse. Then I realized that my partner was the one who needed to change, but he wouldn't. I repeated the same abuse cycle from my childhood. Addressing gender-based violence needs a multifaceted approach. Education and awareness are crucial. Schools should teach respect, equality, and healthy relationships. Public campaigns can challenge harmful stereotypes and build understanding. We need stronger laws to protect victims and hold abusers accountable. Support services like shelters and counseling must be accessible and well-funded. Community engagement is vital for changing harmful attitudes. Community leaders can create safe spaces for dialogue and support, empowering people through their economic independence. This can help reduce their vulnerability. Supporting initiatives that help survivors regain anonymity is key. A holistic approach combining education, legal reform, support service, and community involvement is needed for a safer society. Many times, we hear people in abusive relationships grew up in a home with abuse within their household. This type of early prevention taught through schools can help children know that this is not a healthy relationship. The Me Too movement, started by Tariana Burke in 2006, gained attention in 2017 after allegations against Harvey Weinstein. It sparked a global conversation about sexual harassment and assault. Its main goals are to raise awareness of how common these issues are and empower survivors to speak out without fear. The movement has led to significant changes, such as more open discussions about consent and workplace environment. High-profile cases and the Me Too hashtag on social media have played a crucial role in raising survivors' voices. As a result, there is more support for survivors and a push for legislative changes to prevent this type of harassment. While the movement has made notable progress, it continues to drive societal change, encouraging safer environments for everybody. Tackling violence against women goes beyond justice. It's a basic human right. By understanding its roots, components, and public representation, we can advocate for change. We need to question societal norms that allow violence and help survivors on their healing journey. Together, we can create a world where every person feels safe, respected, and valued. Thank you.